Bonus section, bonus section. Now, I know you guys are probably more excited to get over to the marketing and activity section, but I decided to just throw this in here because if you guys made it this far, I'm proud of you. And I love that you're really consuming this information and hopefully you're actually taking action as well. I just felt like I wanted to give you guys just some additional ways to kind of generate and find some leads daily. So, how are you systematically generating leads? So, you can skip this section if you want and jump straight into the marketing activities, but this is a bonus section for you guys. So we already talked about in the beginning when you were building out your database, just how you can find, some additional people to add to your database. So I'm just going to give you 105 other ways you could essentially find some potential leads to add to your database. So we already talked about the SOI, your friends and your family. You already should have added them to your database. But some other things you can be doing is open houses. Open houses work, guys. I got my first few clients from open houses because I was young when I started in real estate. I was in my 20s, and a lot of my friends and family, I would primarily say like my friends. My family wasn't in the area, but my friends that was living in the area, they just wasn't ready to buy. They were young as well. We just graduated college, and they were kind of like, Monique, the market is just getting better. And we just left. We literally just left college. Like we don't have the money to buy. So guess what I had to do as a young 24-year-old in real estate? I had to do other activities to figure it out because I was not going to give up on my dream of being a real estate agent and staying at my 9 to 5. I was already working as a dual agent, but I was like, I got to figure this out. So I started doing a lot of open houses and I got people this way. And it was families that worked with me. Despite me being young, I came correctly. I was prospecting, I was giving them value, and they worked with me. And even some people that they had agents, but their agents wasn't showing up, but I continuously provided value, continuously prospected, reached out to them to make sure they were A-okay, see if they needed anything, and they decided to work with me. So a lot of my first few clients came from open houses, guys. So it does still work despite so many agents saying, oh, open houses don't work. They do. Everything actually works, guys. It's just really about your consistency of doing it and doing it well too at a high level if you can. Come with the energy and making that effort, and you will see results. Door knocking also works. If you listen to some of the episodes that I had, I'm gonna say the last one, but the one with Marlena McWilliams, that episode, like I talked about her in a different section when I was talking about scheduling, but that episode, she broke down how she got her first developer client. She's a mega agent, guys, how she got her first developer client door knocking. So essentially these tactics, they do work. And it's really about, like I said, taking effort. So there's other things you can be doing, such as like farming and events, and there's so many different things you can do. I'm going to show you a couple ways to find some seller and buyer leads. Again, you could download this sheet that I have, that is this PDF that I added to the training. You can download it and just review it, but I'm just going to also talk over some ways real quickly. Now, one thing you want to do is you want to commit to about 3 to 5 ways. So lead sources, you want to kind of choose 3 to 5 ways. Because what you don't want to do is spread yourself so thin, or you're trying to touch all these different lead sources that your marketing, and even when you're prospecting, your message isn't as effective because you're all over the place because you're trying to talk and target so many different people. So kind of figure out what your target market is in that niche and go all in. So most mega agents choose about 3 to 5 ways and they commit. Now, you may be newer, or maybe your agent is like, hey, some of the ways that I've chose aren't very successful. What you want to do, because again, real estate is not an instant gratification business. So I talked about this in the last section when I went over lead generation, right? And prospecting. So the sales don't happen on the first call or right away. So unfortunately, you have to commit a couple months. 3 to 6 months is ideal. So, if you're tracking, like we talked about in the prospecting and lead generation section, if you are prospecting and tracking your numbers and your numbers, then you can essentially see like, this is not giving me the results. that I need, right? And you can go ahead and try a different way, but you do have to commit a couple of months before you can truly see results, guys. So just want you to keep that in mind. I don't want you to jump in from lead source to lead source thinking that none of them work. It's because you haven't actually invested a little bit of time and energy into that lead source. So of course it can't work, because people are like, they hear from you today and then you disappear and they never hear from you ever again. So, and we know that's not how it works. You want to do business with a business owner that comes around once or maybe twice, and then you never hear from them again. It's not how it works. But anyways, farming a community at the minimum, if you're going to be saying, hey, I want to choose a neighborhood, I really want to dominate this neighborhood. There's $1 million homes in this neighborhood, or $500,000 homes, whatever your price point that you're targeting in that neighborhood. You have to farm and market to them for 12 months, guys, at a minimum. If you're not going to commit to 12 months, then don't do it at all, because you are wasting your money. Again, like I said in the last section, you may get lucky, and you will get lucky when you're doing this consistently. There will be times that you send out a postcard and somebody reaches out that first time you send it out, or maybe the third or fourth postcard. But ideally, you don't need to be thinking instant gratification. You have to think long-term, because again, this is marketing. And remember the marketing section. Marketing takes time. Prospecting is typically what is fast. It gives you more immediate results, right? If you forgot that section, go back, watch it again. That last section when I talked about the difference between prospecting versus marketing. Now, what you can do is, if you decide like, hey, I'm going to market and farm to a community, you can also prospect on top of that. So you can send out monthly mailers once a month for 12 months. And you can also pick up the phone and call those people as well, and door knock. Now you're doing a mixture between prospecting and marketing. So you're going to see results typically a little bit faster. So that's how you speed it up. If you're like, I don't have 12 months, Monique, but I want to get into this neighborhood because I don't have any friends in the area. I don't have any family in the area, and I need to find people today. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do marketing and prospecting, and you're going to have to pick up the phone, make calls, send out a mailer at least once a month. If you have the money, maybe you do it 2 times a month, but you need to at least the very minimum send it out 1 time a month for 12 months, and then make a circle calls, prospect that neighborhood too, and door knock. See, now you're touching them 3 times at the minimum in 1 month. And they're going to start to remember, like, okay, this person is serious, and they are the go-to real estate agent. Within a couple months, you will more than likely be considered that go-to real estate agent in that community, because of how you are essentially circle prospecting that neighborhood. So just keep that in mind. Commit to 3 to 5 ways. And when you test a new way, you have to at least commit for a couple months, because you may not see results right away. And if you're farming a community, 12 months minimum at the minimum when it comes to sending out mailers. Okay. Now, to find motivate sellers, you can look at your database already. So number 1 is like your sphere, typically farming. We just talked about farming, sending out some direct mailers at least once a month. Also adding phone calls, calling around the community. And then also, some door knocking. You have to get a little bit, you got to go a little bit hard so you can see some results a little bit faster when it comes to farming. Especially if you don't really have that time, right? Expireds are great lead source to reach out to for sell by owners. That's FSBO. Absentee owners are great. These are typically sometimes they're investors, and they sometimes own multiple properties, is what I've experienced with absentee owners. And many people aren't marketing to absentee owners. They just aren't. So these people, they don't live in the house that you're currently at. So you need to be sending marketing and calling wherever they live at now, right? Probates are also a great resource. They do take time and it's also a sensitive matter, because typically a person has passed, right? A family member, has passed, and now they own this property. So it's a sensitive subject, and you might have to deal with the courts and attorneys and stuff. So keep in mind, it is a great, lead source, but it does take time. Pre-foreclosures, it takes time as well. It's a little bit sensitive as well, because they're behind on their mortgage, and those individuals and people don't want to be found, but if you can find them, it's a good source of business. For rent by owners, FRBO is for rent by owners. They could have became a landlord by accident. So that's why that could be a good lead source. And also, we already talked about door knocking. That's farming a community. So social media is also great as well. The internet leads. I put on, if you guys saw in the previous two slides, I put Facebook ads. Now, social media, we know you can do this for free, but that's marketing. And marketing, as we can already know from the last section, takes time. So you can go ahead and add in, maybe to speed up the process, do ads, do Facebook ads, social media, Facebook, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, and even TikTok ads. People are getting business from social media. We're in a new time. I've gotten a lot of deals from social media, and I know a lot of agents has as well. Now, I would recommend you take some type of training, because you don't want to just be spending your money, throwing money away because you're not running the ads properly. It just takes time. It's a skill set that you do need to get training on. So I will be having a training around Facebook ads, and they're probably in the near future, and then eventually TikTok and also YouTube. But TikTok and YouTube is a little further out, but I will be doing some type of training around it. But Facebook ads will be something I'll more than likely do in the very near future, because I already currently run Facebook ads, and I do get leads from them, good leads at that. So open houses, I already talked about, my success back in the day when I started out as an agent, and I didn't have, my database was just very young. So I had to do a lot of open houses, but I did get deals from it. So open houses still work. It's also a good way to find sellers, because sellers are nosy, right? Not sellers, neighbors are nosy. So that nosy neighbor, either they could be considered selling, or they can get added to your database, and they can send you referrals because they know what's happening in the neighborhood. That nosy neighbor probably is the best, because they'll tell you like what's happening, all the gossip and things that's going on in the neighborhood, and also who's considering selling as well. So essentially you have like a little bit of like a person, right? You have a foot in the door when it comes to that neighborhood that you may be trying to farm or market to get in. So you need to get to know the neighbors. So that's a good reason to have an open house. And of course, if you're an experienced agent, your past clients, majority of people that purchased a home with a real estate agent would use them again if only we would reach out to them. You must stay in touch with your database in terms of your past clients, guys. So those are key sources for people that may want to sell or even referral business. So just keep that in mind. Experienced agents, if you ever sold a house to somebody, they are a good source, because they may want to sell, because people are selling back in the day, it used to be like every 10 years people would sell. But nowadays, especially in locations that are transient, that has a lot of people coming and going, like DC is where I'm at, people tend to move every 3 to 5 years, sometimes every 2 years. So, and they also are okay with selling their house because they have a lot of equity too. So just keep that in mind. Now, how to find motivated buyers. Very similar on how to find motivated sellers. So some of the top examples strategies that I've found is social media. Again, internet leads are great. But again, you have to work those internet leads as well, because they don't know you. And we're going to talk about that in marketing activities, how you can build up that credibility. Home buying workshops are great. You can also do seller workshops for seller leads, guys. Signs and flyers, in terms of if you're that person, like I know an agent, I also interviewed him as well on my podcast, Easy E, the easy way, Easy E, the easy way. This guy essentially puts signs and flyers up everywhere. So his signs are everywhere in I'll say mainly Maryland area. He actually got called by the Real Estate Commission, also by the mayor in DC. I believe he said I don't know if he said the governor, but pretty much because he put his signs all over Maryland, pretty much, people started to reach out, obviously people that want to buy and sell, but also the Real Estate Commission, because everybody was noticing, like, you have your signs everywhere, relax. So he put his signs, and I see his signs even to this day on bus stops, you'll see his signs in restaurants and retail stores, like anything you could think of. Anything you could think of, his sign is probably there throughout the Maryland area. So Easy E, you guys can look him up. You also can watch that podcast episode. It was really good juice and some gems that he dropped. So he basically read a book that talks about the compounding effect. And essentially that's what he talks about on the episode. But that's the reason why he puts signs and flyers up everywhere. So this still works. He gets a lot of clients. He sold in 2022 over 100, and I think it was over 105 houses. In 2022 from doing the compound effects with signs and flyers. So when people are saying like certain things don't work anymore, it does work. But it's really about the energy and effort and consistency that you're really putting behind whatever lead source process that you decide to choose. And also past clients as well. The same way we touch bases on that when it comes to finding motivated sellers, also your past clients. If you're an experienced agent, you should be maintaining your relationships with your past clients, because you never know if they want to buy a house again. They might become an investor. A majority of my clients, they bought their first property and now I'm working on their second, and some of them even third properties at this moment. But you can't not stay in touch with them and expect to receive those referrals, because they will go off with another agent if they don't hear from you ever again. You have to build a relationship, because this is a relationship business, guys. Okay, so I hope you guys got a couple ideas on how you can essentially find more leads or just ways to build up your database, I'll say. I also attached this fun, engaging way to creatively engage and build up your database, because when you do these activities, you're also going to add people to your database, because your clientele, like your database of people, are going to be excited about all the events you're having, and they're going to refer you business. And also you're going to be doing these activities. You're going to find people that, because you're doing these activities, they're going to want to work with you. They're going to be like, oh, you're a real estate agent. Awesome. You just never know when people need a realtor, or a family or friend of theirs needs a realtor. So I added this to this section, but I'm also going to have this in the next section when we go over marketing activities. So it's also in the next section for marketing activities as well, guys. So feel free to download this now, or you can download it in the next section. All right, I'll see you guys in the next section, marketing activities.